When you're having a heart attack, this is how it feels to your heart. And if it happens at night or on the weekend, there's only one hospital team standing by on site to save you. Cardio Team 1 at the DMC. Not on call, but on site, 24/7, 365. Cutting heart attack response time to half the national standard. Cardio Team 1, now at the new DMC Heart Hospital opening this summer. The beat goes on.
Women, married or single, if you are sexually active, you need to be tested for HIV/AIDS right now. If you are considering engaging in protected or unprotected sexual behavior with a new partner, get tested and insist that he is tested as well. Women get tested, especially if you are pregnant or considering childbirth. Information concerning HIV/AIDS programs, call 313-876-0548.
WHPR-TV is now on demand. Catch us when you want, how you want, where you want. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Watch your favorite TV shows on demand. And be sure to download the WHPR app. We're now on demand at your demand. WHPR-TV Detroit on demand.com. A Watkins Broadcasting Company.
Guy on TV said, "Shop at the warehouse store. You'll save money." I didn't save money. I wasted money.
Going anywhere other than Van Dyke's is a waste because nobody gives you more style for the money than we do. Plus, right now at Van Dyke's, when you buy one suit, we'll give you 2 more of equal or lesser value free. That's 3 for 1. The lesson of this story?
When you buy clothes at a warehouse store, you're going to be disappointed. I guarantee it.
Van Dyke's on 10 miles just west of Southfield Road.
Thank you so much, and thank you for my producers who are working so hard to get me on the air, and I'm very grateful to them, and thank you so much for your patience with me as well. And once again, we say good morning to you. First, if you're just joining me, just want you to know that indeed we wish you the best. This is Father's Day weekend, and certainly tomorrow is Father's Day. It's going to be a beautiful day tomorrow. We're talking about like 91 degrees for Father's Day. That's right. High today about 89. Right now we're looking at about 68 degrees, and it's moving fast in terms of getting up to 89 for the high. And so we just thank God for each and every one of you. We certainly want you to know we're happy to have you with us this morning. And my sisters and brothers, just wanted to let you know that if you're just joining us, we talked the first hour about gun control and some good calls, But I want to just flip the switch just a little bit. I must say to you, I must confess, I was so impressed with Muhammad Ali's funeral. As I indicated to you that I watched it in its entirety, and then I watched pieces of it that I really enjoyed more so than others. But there's a couple of pieces that clips from that I wanted to bring to you, and basically really talk about the essence of the man himself. You know, one of the things Muhammad Ali talked about all of his life, that if he could be a celebrity, if he could be famous, because of his infamy, if he could basically use that being famous, he could basically use it to help a lot of people, and he did. He really did. He wanted to be champ, but a lot of the things that he did was outside of the ring was just as important, or more so important than it was in the ring. But what took place in the ring made him really noticeable, and to do what he really wanted to do to humanity and for humanity. And so I want to just, I was so impressed. I just wanted to pull this together. It takes just a few minutes, and I'd really like for you to stop and just take time out and just really listen. Don't get on the phone, and if you could just get you a cup of coffee and just listen to. It's just two clips that I want to show, And I want to thank the CBS, and I want to thank Henry Tyler and the whole production company here at WHPR for helping me put this together. And so I want to just, if I could now, just show these two pieces. One is with Billy Crystal, and the other is Brian Gumbel. And it gives you really the essence of the man and how he affected other people and how other people were basically taken by his affection. We'll be right. Just stay with me.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We're at the halfway point. I was clean shaven when this started. Dear Lonnie, family, friends, Mr. President, members of the clergy, all of these amazing people here in Louisville. Today, this outpouring of love and respect proves that 35 years after he stopped fighting, he is still the champion of the world. Last week, when we heard the news, time stopped. There was no war, there were no terrorists, no global catastrophes. The world stopped, took a deep breath, and sighed. Since then, my mind has been racing through my relationship with this amazing man, which is now 42 years that I know him. Every moment I can think of is cherished, and while others can tell you of his accomplishments, he wanted me to speak and tell you of some personal moments that we had together. I met him in 1974. I was just getting started as a stand-up comedian and struggling, but I had one good routine. It was a 3-minute conversation between Howard Cosell and Muhammad Ali, where I would imitate both of them. Ali had just defeated George Foreman and regained the heavyweight title. Sport magazine made him the man of the year, and Dick Schaap, a wonderful writer and a great man, was the editor for Sport. And he was going to host this televised dinner honoring Muhammad Ali. So Dick called my agent looking for a comedian who did some sports material. As fate would have it, that comedian was not available. And she wisely said, "It's destiny, man." And she wisely said, "But listen, I got this young kid, and he does this great imitation of Ali and Cosell. He'd be perfect for you." So I don't know why, but Dick said, "Okay, I'll try him. If he stinks, I can cut him out of the show." I couldn't believe it. My first time on television, and it would be with Ali. I arrived at the Plaza Hotel. The event was jammed. I met Mr. Schaap, who would later become a part of my family. And he said, "Well, how should I introduce you? Nobody knows who you are." And I said, "Just say I'm one of Ali's closest and dearest friends." And my thought was, I'll get right to the microphone, go into my Howard Cosell, and I'll be fine. And then I nervously moved into the jammed ballroom, and that's when I saw him for the first time in person. It's very hard to describe how much he meant to me. You had to live in his time. It's great to look at clips, and it's amazing that we have them, but to live in his time, watching his fights, experiencing the genius of his talent was absolutely extraordinary. Every one of his fights was an aura of a Super Bowl. He did things nobody would do. He predicted the round that he would knock somebody out in, and then he would do it. He was funny. He was beautiful. He was the most perfect athlete you ever saw, and those were his own words. But he was so much more than a fighter as time went on. With Bobby Kennedy gone, Martin Luther King gone, Malcolm X gone. Who was there to relate to when Vietnam exploded in our face? There were millions of young men my age, eligible for the draft for a war that we didn't believe in, all of us huddled on the conveyor belt that was rapidly feeding the war machine. But it was Ali who stood up for us by standing up for himself. And after he was stripped of the title, and the right to fight anywhere in the world, he gave speeches at colleges and on television that totally reached me. He seemed as comfortable talking to kings and queens as the lost and unrequited. He never lost his sense of humor, even as he lost everything else. He was always himself. willing to give up everything for what he believed in. And his passionate rhetoric about the life and plight of black people in our country resonated strongly in my house. I grew up in a house that was dedicated to civil rights. My father was a producer of jazz concerts in New York City and was one of the first to integrate bands in the 40s and 50s. Jazz musicians referred to my dad as the Branch Rickey of jazz. My uncle and my family, Jewish people, produced Strange Fruit, Billie Holiday's classic song describing the lynching of African Americans in this country. And so I felt him. And now there he was, just a few feet from me. I couldn't stop looking at him, and he seemed to like glow, and he was like in slow motion, his amazing face smiling and laughing. I was seated a few seats from him on the dais, and in the room were all of these athletes in their individual sports, great ones. Gino Marchetti of the Baltimore Colts, Franco Harris of the Steelers, Archie Griffin, who had won the Heisman from Ohio State, literary legends, Neil Simon, George Plimpton, all on the dais, fawning over Ali, who then looked at me with an expression that seemed to say, "What is Joel Gray doing here?" Mr. Shapp introduced me as one of Ali's closest and dearest friends. 2 people clapped. My wife and the agent. I rose, Ali still staring at me. I passed right behind him, got to the podium, went right into the Cosell. Hello everyone, Howard Cosell coming to you live from Zaire. Some would pronounce it Zaire. They're wrong. It got big laughs. And then I went into the Ali. Everybody's talking about George Foreman. I want to talk about George Foreman. George Foreman was ugly. He's so slow. George was slow. I come out, voop, voop, voop. And then I rope-a-dope George, and I'm still fast at 33 years of age. I'm so fast I can turn up the lights, be in my bed before the room gets dark. Howard, I'm announcing tonight that I got new religious beliefs. From now on, I want to be known as Izzy Yiskowitz. I am now an Orthodox Jew. Izzy Yiskowitz, I am the greatest of all time. The audience exploded. See, no one had ever done him before. And here he was, a white kid from Long Island, imitating the greatest of all time, and he was loving it. When I was done, he gave me this big bear hug, and he whispered in my ear, "You're my little brother." Which is what he always called me until the last time that I saw him. We were always there for each other. If he needed me for something, I was there. He came to anything I asked him to do. Most memorable, he was an honorary chairman for a dinner and a very important event where I was being honored by the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. He did all of this promotion for it. He came to the dinner. He sat with my family for the entire evening. He took photographs with everybody. The most famous Muslim man in the world honoring his Jewish friend. And because he was there, we raised a great deal of money, and I was able to use it to endow the university in Jerusalem with something that I told him about. And it was something that he loved the theory of, and it thrives to this day. It's called Peace Through the Performing Arts. It's a theater group where Israeli, Arab, and Palestinian actors, writers, and directors all work together in peace, creating original works of art. And that doesn't happen without him. I had so many funny, unusual moments with him. I sat next to him at Howard Cosell's funeral, a very somber day to be sure. Closed casket was on the stage. Muhammad and I were sitting somewhere over there next to each other. And he quietly whispered to me, "Little brother, do you think he's wearing his hairpiece?" So I said, "I don't think so." "Well, then how will God recognize him?" So I said, "Champ, once he opens his mouth, God'll know." So we started laughing. It was a muffled laugh at first, but then we couldn't contain ourselves. Here we were at a funeral, me with Muhammad Ali laughing like two little kids who heard something dirty in church. You know, we're just laughing and laughing. And then he looked at me and he whispered, Howard was a good man. One time he asked me if I would like to run with him one morning, do road work with him. I said, well, that'd be amazing. Where do you run? He said, well, I run at this country club, and I run on a golf course early in the morning. It's very private. Nobody bothers me. We'll have a great time. And I said, champ, I can't run there. The club has a reputation for being restricted. Well, it's restricted me. They don't allow Jews there. They don't have any Jewish members. He was incensed. I'm a black Muslim, and they let me run there. Little brother, I'm never going to run there again. And he didn't. My favorite memory perhaps was 1979. He had just retired, and there was a retirement party at the Forum, Los Angeles, for Muhammad and 20,000 of his closest friends in Los Angeles. I performed a piece that I had created. The imitation had grown into a life story. It's called 15 Rounds. And I play him from the age of 18 until he's 36, ready for the rematch with Leon Spinks. I posted it on the internet last week, footage that nobody had ever seen before of me portraying Ali, doing his life for him all those years ago in 1979. There were 20,000 people there, but I was doing it only for him. It's one of my favorite performances that I've ever done in my life. I sort of got lost in him. I didn't even know where I was at the end of the performance. And suddenly I'm backstage with another heavyweight champion, Richard Pryor. And Pryor is holding on to me, crying. And then I see Ali coming. And he's got a full head of steam, and he's looking only at me, and he nudged Mr. Pryor aside. And he whispered in my ear with a big bear hug, little brother, you made my life better than it was. But didn't he make all of our lives a little bit better than they were? That, my friends, is my history with a man. And I've labored to come up with a way to describe the legend. He was a tremendous bolt of lightning, created by Mother Nature out of thin air, a fantastic combination of power and beauty. We've seen still photographs of lightning bolts at the moment of impact, ferocious in its strength, magnificent in its elegance. And at the moment of impact, it lights up everything around it, so you can see everything clearly. Muhammad Ali struck us in the middle of America's darkest night, in the heart of its most threatening gathering storm. His power toppled the mightiest of foes, and his intense light shined on America. And we were able to see clearly injustice, inequality, poverty, pride, self-realization, courage, laughter, love, joy, and religious freedom for all. Ali forced us to take a look at ourselves. This brash young man who thrilled us, angered us, confused, and challenged us ultimately became a silent messenger of peace, who taught us that life is best when you build bridges between people, not walls. My friends, only once in 1,000 years or so do we get to hear a Mozart or see a Picasso, read a Shakespeare. Ali was one of them, and yet, at his heart, he was still a kid from Louisville who ran with the gods and walked with the crippled and smiled at the foolishness of it all. He is gone, but he will never die. He was my big brother. Thank you.
The great Maya Angelou, who was herself no stranger to fame, wrote that ultimately people will forget what you said and people will forget what you did, but that no one will ever forget how you made them feel. As applied to Muhammad Ali, the march of time may one day diminish his boasts and his poetry, maybe even his butterflies and bees. It may even one day dull the memories of the Thriller in Manila and the rumble in the jungle. But I doubt any of us will ever forget how Muhammad Ali made us feel. And I'm not talking about how proud he made you feel with his exploits, or how special he made you feel when you were privileged enough to be in his company. I'm talking about how he gripped our hearts and our souls and our conscience and made our fights his fights for decades. People like me, who were once young, semi-gifted, and black, will never forget what he freed within us. Some of us, like him, took pride in being black, bold, and brash. And because we were so unapologetic, we were, in the eyes of many, way too uppity. We were way too arrogant. Yet we reveled in being like him. By stretching society's boundaries as he did, he gave us levels of strength and courage we didn't even know we had. But Ali's impact was not limited to those of a certain race or of a certain religion or of a certain mindset. The greatness of this man for the ages was that he was, in fact, a man for all ages. Has any man ever scripted a greater arc to his life? What does it say of a man, any man, that he can go from being viewed as one of his country's most polarizing figures to arguably its most beloved? And to do so without changing his nature or for a second compromising his principles. Yeah, you know, there were great causes, there were great national movements, there were huge divisions that afforded Ali unusual opportunities to symbolize our struggles. But Harry Truman had it right when he said men make history and not the other way around. Or as Lauryn Hill so nicely put it, consequence is no coincidence. Befitting his stature as the GOAT, Muhammad Ali never shied away from a fight. He fought not just the biggest and baddest men of his day inside the ropes, but outside the ring he also went toe-to-toe with an array of critics, a seemingly endless succession of societal norms, the architects of a vile, immoral war, the U.S. government. He even fought, ultimately to his detriment, the limitations of Father Time. Strictly speaking, fighting is what he did. But he broadened that definition by sharing his struggles with us and by viewing our struggles as his. And so it was that at various times he accepted and led battles on behalf of his race, in support of his generation, in defense of his religious beliefs, and ultimately, in spite of his disease. I happen to have been overseas working in Norway this past week. My buddy Matt called, told me the champ had been taken to the hospital. At this time, it was really serious. Right away, I called Lonnie, who was, as always, a pillar of strength. And as we discussed the medical details, the doctor's views, and the ugly realities of mortality, Lonnie said, "Bryant, the world still needs him." And indeed it does. The world needs a champion who always worked to bridge the economic and social divides that threaten a nation that he dearly loved. The world needs a champion that always symbolized the best of Islam to offset the hatred born of fear. And the world needs a champion who believed in fairness and inclusion for all. Hating people because of their color is wrong, Ali said. And it doesn't matter which color does the hating. It's just plain wrong. Yeah, we do need Muhammad Ali now. We need the strength and the hope, the compassion and the conviction that he always demonstrated. But this time, our beloved champion is down. And for once, he'll not get up. Not this time. Not ever again. Let me close with a quick personal story. 50 years ago, Muhammad Ali defeated George Chuvalo in Toronto, Canada. The very next day, he showed up in my Hyde Park neighborhood on the south side of Chicago. As Ali got out of a car in the driveway at the home of Elijah Muhammad, I happened to be next door, shooting hoops in a friend's backyard. I, of course, quickly ran to the fence, and for the first time in my life, I shook the champ's hand. I was 17, I was awestruck, and man, I thought he was the greatest. Now, half a century and a lifetime of experiences later, I am still awestruck. And I'm convinced more than ever that Muhammad Ali's the greatest. To be standing here by virtue of his and Lonnie's request, it's mind-numbing. The honor that Ali has done me today as he goes to his grave is one that I will take to mine. God bless you, champ.
Just thank you so much and for allowing me to bring it to you once again. You know, my sisters and brothers, there's some things that you just you know, that you experience and you want to share it. I'm not quite sure many of you really saw what I just showed, that I just brought to you. But if you did, I'm certainly know that you can have a sense of appreciation for it once again. But I want you to understand, and my point of bringing it to you once again is just basically to let you know just how important this young man, this man was, from his youth all the way up until age of 74, and certainly what he really stood for. I want you to understand also that perhaps purpose is really being purpose-driven, and perhaps on this Father's Day, that for those of us who are fathers and and about to become fathers and hope to be fathers, that we all should be as African American fathers, but generally anyone, but for us, that we ought to be purpose driven, have a purpose in life, that indeed that we try to make things better for our children. That's what it really is all about. That we and certainly Muhammad Ali did everything he could to do just that, not only for his children but also for our children as well. And certainly I just wanted to basically share that with you once again. I thought, and again, first I need to let you know that I'm very grateful to for this courtesy of Globe Network and also the courtesy of Wiki Network in terms of getting it to you. I want to acknowledge that it's very important that I do that. And then I want to thank my producers here, Henry Tyler and his group, helping me to put this on the air. And again, once again, I just want you to know how important I thought it was, and hopefully that you enjoyed it of those 25, 27 minutes that we had it there. Again, Muhammad Ali gone but not forgotten, and I think that's very much important. Again, I just want to thank you so much. I want to spend another take a moment of privilege, if you know, personal privilege, if you could please. Obviously by this time, and I've had a really a restless kind of night last night, so I apologize by being incoherent in terms of my speech. But I just want you to know that I want to have a personal a privilege with you this morning. This new product that I have, and that I want to introduce you to it. I've been anxiously waiting to introduce it to you, because I know many of you really care about my work, and you care about me, you care about my ministry, and for that I want you to know I'm always grateful and always thankful. A number of years ago, when I started a school, I got so tired of begging for help. I tried to get to foundations. Foundations turned me down, and I built one of the a school of Detroit Arts and Sciences on Jefferson. I basically built a high school. I went to Wall Street because I couldn't get money from investors, could not get help. And so many problems was going on in the Detroit public school system 20-some years ago that I felt like I went to the union and asked for permission. I went to the principal, Dr. Sneed, who was head of the superintendent of the schools at that time, got permission, that I wanted to start something different, and I wanted to complement the system, not compete with the system, but complement the system. And this is 20-some years ago. And I went to Wall Street and borrowed about $39 million in Wall Street to start this school, and bought property on Jefferson, bought property on Medbury, and of course the rest of it's history. And then to have scholarships for our young people, to make sure they go to college. They would have an opportunity to, after they finish high school, I did not want them to basically be in debt when they come out of college by a lot of loans, that I would try to indeed create opportunities whereby they could have a free ride to colleges. And so in order to do that, I created a cookie and put it on, God blessed me to put it on Northwest Airlines. I created a potato chip and way to put it in many of the stores throughout the metropolitan area, throughout Michigan as far as that's concerned. And then also I was able to deliver, to have a food distribution in the school system, about 30,000 students every day. I would basically deliver 30,000 meals a day. And all of that would go to helping send kids to college, because I got tired of begging. I got tired of just having people to say no. Now, after seeing all of that, my sisters and brothers, what I'm trying to do right now is to purchase a recreation center. And I want to make it a wellness center for men of color. In other words, I want to be able to have a 24-hour recreation center where young men can come in the daytime and in the night. If they want to play basketball at midnight, or they want to do the GED at midnight, if they want to have counseling at midnight, if they want to have it at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock or 6 o'clock, and I want them off the street. I want them to be able to, if they want to swim at 11 o'clock at night, if they want to get the reading skills up at 11 o'clock at night, whatever the needs are, I want to call it a wellness center for men of color. We got to do something about the young men that basically is being a pipeline to prison, and then coming out of prison, a pipeline to basically returning back to prison. And so I ask you to just to pray with me, and I ask if you're not a Christian, I still ask you to be supportive of me, regardless of what your faith may be. I'm just saying to you, my sisters and brothers. So I've been for the last 2 years or more trying to find resources to be able to put by the recreation center, and then have a program in the recreation center in order to be able to help young African American men of color. That's the political correctness that you have now, is men of color, and so I just got tired. One of a prominent person came by and looked at the recreation center. He said, "You know, Reverend, this is good. This is good. I'm going to help you. I'm going to go to the Pistons and ask the guy that owns the Pistons to help you with this." And I never saw him again. I went to Penske and I asked, I said, "Mr. Penske, you're doing business in our community, but you're not doing anything for the community." And they said, "You know, Reverend, we're doing all we want to do right now." So I'm just so tired and so frustrated in terms of the fact that, because I know for the most part, I'm not the only person that's looking for donations, and I understand that. And so what I decided to do, the same thing I did, a number of years ago with my potato chips and with my cookies on Northwest Airlines, basically now I have a different product. And the product is called Cognos. It's a men's cologne. And I thought I would introduce it on the weekend of Father's Day. And I want to just give you just let you sort of see the billboard. There you go. And basically, it's called Cognos. It's Men with Significance. It is an upscale cologne, and in other words, I just want it's not going to be in Walmart. It's not going to be in CVS. But what I wanted in, and what we're negotiating right now, is with Macy's and with Nordstrom. So this is what we're trying to do. This is the clone. And you will see this in magazines. You will see this in the newspaper. You will see it in advertising. You will see it here on this station. And but right now, my sisters and brothers, again, I have about 2,000 that I have ordered to start out with. And for those of you who want to help me, you can certainly, I'll give you a telephone number in a few minutes that you can call, and we can, you can come by the church and pick it up next week. Or you can, I can send it to you. If you got people you want to send it by mail, we got the capabilities of doing that. And so if you want to send it to pay a debit card or a credit card, we got the ability to do that. But the cologne is $55. And again, it is like 1.7 ounces. We work so hard on the fragrance, and I think you really like it. And that's the reason why I have called it as a subtitle, Men with Significance, that you're different, that you want to be different. And so many times people come to me and they say, Reverend, I like your cologne. I like what you have on. And then I start, ordering it for them, giving it away to them, and all this kind of stuff. I said, well, if they like it that much, maybe what I need to do is basically take the cologne that I have and really redesign it so that indeed it would fit in the budget. And I think you will be very satisfied. For women, for Men's Day, for Father's Day, you can get it on tomorrow after church, or you can get it today. Well, I'm not able to do it give it to you today. I probably should have came out last week. But whether you give it on Father's Day or give it just as a special gift to the significant other, I really like for you to really help me with this. Again, I would suggest that those of you who are like 21 and older, this is a nice fragrance for you. If you're a mature young man, it certainly is a nice fragrance for you, because again, it is to make you distinctive. It works with your with the pores of your body. It works with your I forget the name of the word they gave me in New York, but we worked on this for a number of months, trying to get it right. And then finally we did a test on it, and the test came back, this is it. And certainly, my sisters and brothers, this is not something that you're going to find. It's not Old Spice. I used to wear it, so it's not Old Spice. It is a beautiful fragrance that I think indeed that even if you don't have a significant other, you'll be satisfied with yourself, and it will. So I'm just asking you to look at this. I'm asking that you support this. The thing about it is, as I indicated to you, I want to really be a blessing to this generation that's coming up. And our young men need education. They need the GED. They need some vocational. They need some direction. They need to be purpose driven. But they got to have their reading skills has got to be up. To be able to handle conflict resolutions got to be intact. They got to. Many of these young men did not grow up with fathers, and broken homes, and some cases, broken home, whether it's with even with the mother, is still broken. And I'm just saying to you is that many times it's broken. It doesn't mean it's broken because it's just a mother, but because again, sometimes I was raised by a grandmother. But my grandmother instilled in me so much of what I need to do for myself. My father wasn't there, my mother wasn't there, my uncles and aunts weren't there, but my grandmother always indicated to me, indeed, if you're going to get out of poverty, if you're going to get out of this sense of a community that is not going anywhere, then you have to educate your way out. I couldn't sing my way out. I couldn't rap my way out. I couldn't basketball my way out. I couldn't football my way out, but I could educate my way out. And I want to have this recreation center. It's really a recreation and education, but I want to call it a wellness center, which basically takes in the whole person. And my sisters and brothers, we got to do something about our young men. And I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of complaining about it. I'm tired of basically being negative, seeing negativity all the time. But rather we can do something, and you can join me in doing just that by supporting this product. I felt like that if I can get it in Macy's, and it seemed like I'm going to be able to do that, if I get it in Nordstrom's, seemed like I'd be able to do that with the new social media, and I think I'll be able to get that. There's a company, commercial company in Miami that's called me and have donated, and that's how good God is. He has donated 30 minutes that they would give me on an infomercial, and it goes all over the world. And so again, I'm very grateful to that. But I want to basically I want to be accepted at home. I want my product to be accepted by Detroiters. I was hoping at one time that I might be able to make it here in Detroit and make the product. If not make it, package it, do something to create jobs. That's something that's in the back of my head. And then obviously, if this goes well, we're working on a perfume for women. And so I want you to know that this is I'm taking this personal privilege at this particular time. I do so much to help so many people. You know that, and I know that. But sometimes you just need to stop and see what you can do and how you can do to help yourself. And I want to do just that. But in helping myself, it is the proceeds will go to help this wellness center, where it's right next to the church. It's called Considine. We want to purchase it. We want to put it in position where we can bring it up to code. We can have swimming. We can have basketball. We can have racquetball. We can have educational classes, recreational facility. It has all of that, 60,000 square feet. And my sisters and brothers, again, as I said before, I don't really mean to be boring you with this language that I'm giving you. In terms of the fact, I just get tired of begging. Just get tired of begging people to support something that I feel is going to benefit my people. And certainly, again, I feel like we can do just that. Get the men off the street. There will be a place there where we have a transition housing. So if somebody is homeless or just and about to get in trouble, we can put them up for we have a place to put them a couple of days and get them to another stable situation. There would be for mental health. We're working it out with the mental health Wayne County, Detroit Wayne County Mental Health Board, where they may have somebody there 24 hours, a crisis line. And so if somebody wants to do something to their family, something like this, they can say, well, maybe I'll just go there and cool off and get some help. A lot of things, my sister and brother, that we find our young people involved in, as someone said in regards to the guns and the violence, is because of the condition that people are in. And if we can somehow position them and change their condition, just reposition them. I think it was T.D. Jakes has a book out that talks about repositioning. And sometimes what we need to do is reposition our people, reposition our young men, get them out of this mindset of doing violence, this mindset that what they're doing is wrong. And if we can change it, I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen. I've seen it in the 40. I'm celebrating 44 years as a pastor, and I've seen how God can change people, change their heart, change their behavior. I looked at. I was listening to head minister Choi on program here, and he was represented Minister Farrakhan, and what he said was indeed that the Nation of Islam changed him. Now, obviously, I'm a Christian, but I do understand how we can change these young men and change these young women. We can change them, and I don't care how bad. There's some bad in all in the best of us, and some good in the worst of us. But we got to tap where the good is, and not just throw everything out the window, but just tap where the good is. And I think, my sisters and brothers, that we can make a difference in doing that. And so I ask that you, indeed, I'd like to show this once again to you, that you will see advertising. I'd like to show it one more time if I could, fellas, and you will see it, and that you indeed will support it. As I said, we will be in various magazines. We will be in on newspapers. We hope to be in the mall, and certainly we will be in various African American businesses. We will have them in a display. And I just ask you, not only do you want you to smell good, and I want you to represent men of significance, but also want you to know that you're doing some good. Not only smell good, but you're doing some good by purchasing this. And as I indicated to you, normally you don't talk about price, but I want you to understand that indeed I want to be very transparent. I don't want to be, getting you to call and say, I didn't know it was going to be that much. Well, I want you to know what the price is, and that it's about. I can break it down to you and tell you what it cost me, what it cost me to package it, and ship it and all that. But it comes out. The price is going to be about $55. As I said, it is upscale cologne. It's not something that you're going to find in Walmart, and not to say anything's bad about that, or in on CVS, something like that. But it is indeed a upscale cologne, and I purposely did it that way because, again, I want to make sure it's just not giving you just any old thing, but that I really took time out and really worked on making sure it's just right. It's just right, and that it will work with you. And so again, I'm just saying to you, understand again the whole idea. When I had the cookies on Northwest, when I had the food distribution in the city of Detroit, when I had potato chips and so forth, it's helping to basically raise scholarship for the young men that went to the school. And I can tell you, my sisters and brothers, God has been so good, because when I see these young people, that went to the school, and I know many of you have your problems with charter schools, and with me with charter schools and all like that, but the end result is what happened to the kid is always about the children. So I ask you for your prayers. I ask you not only for your prayers, but also ask for your support. Very seldom do I just come in and try to do something like this. I could obviously I can take this airways, and certainly I got favor with Henry Tyler. I got favor with Mr. Watkins. God gives me favor, and I'm so grateful to that. But I don't try to take advantage of that. I try to use this airway to help other people. And so now I'm asking you to help me at this particular point, because I really want to do something to really make a difference for the young people that are, so they won't go to prison, and those that's coming out of prison, that they will not have to go back. The recidivism, I think I'm saying it right, is very high, and the reason why is because there's nothing for these young people to do. There's 4,000 to 8,000 jobs coming in the next 8 years, and my sisters and brothers, we got to do everything we can to get our young people ready. We got to get them ready. Got to get them ready not only mentally, but got to get them ready skill-wise. And if you put the skills with the mindset, my sisters and brothers, and bring about ambition, and that they want to be something, and they can be something, but they need help. They need help. Many of us, we need help. Don't sit up and act like you got where you are today by yourself. None of us. If you see a frog on a high pole about 12 or 15 feet high, you know somebody helped him get up there. And many of you who own that high horse, You got to understand somebody helped you. We got to help them. And I'm just asking you to help me to help them. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. And certainly my sister and brother, not to give me $55, but I got a product that has value. And certainly I ask that you indeed use that product, and knowing that when you indeed use it, you're also doing some good with it because of it. And so I want to thank you for this time. Hope that you enjoyed these 2 hours with me. Again, I don't take your kindness for granted. I want you to know how grateful I am to all of you. I'm very excited about this product. I'm very excited about having this wellness center. I'm very excited about the possibility of trying to have a place, a 24-hour place, the first in the country, where, again, you can have a 24-hour place where a kid can come, a young man or young woman, but particularly young men, can come into a place and know they can get help, and that somebody cares, that somebody really cares. I know you do. I know you do. And I'm giving you an opportunity to show it. Thank you so much for this time that we have together on Saturday morning. Certainly hope that you enjoyed the program, and certainly hopefully that you will continue to be supportive, not only in viewing, but also with this product that we call, indeed, Cognos. Cognos. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful Father's Day. And I indeed tell you, God loves you, and there ain't nothing you can do about it.
Say a little prayer for you, and I will always care for you. Hello, hello, Detroit.